The darkness of space erupted with sudden violent light. Plasma cannons sliced through the peaceful human colony of New Horizon, transforming quiet settlements into landscapes of absolute destruction. Commander Haywan Park watched the holographic displays, her hands gripping the command console so tightly her knuckles turned white. The attack was precise. No warning. No mercy. Ships of the unknown alien fleet moved like silent predators, their weapon systems cutting through residential zones with calculated efficiency. Children's playgrounds became burning craters. School buildings collapsed under massive energy bombardments. Entire neighborhoods vanished in milliseconds. Haywan's communication systems crackled with desperate voices, screams, pleas, fragments of human terror that would soon be silenced forever. She knew these were not just random attacks. This was systematic elimination. Initiate emergency evacuation protocols, she commanded to her bridge crew. Her voice was calm, almost mechanical, hiding the tsunami of emotions threatening to consume. Her young technicians scrambled, their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Emergency shuttles began launching, tiny dots of hope against the massive wave of destruction. But both Haywan and her crew knew the brutal mathematics. Survival was nearly impossible. The alien fleet moved with surgical precision, each weapon strike calculated to maximize destruction while minimizing resource waste. They weren't just attacking, they were performing a calculated genocide. Proximity sensors showed wave after wave of attack ships. Their design was unfamiliar, sleek, almost organic structures that seemed to breathe with technological malevolence. No national or diplomatic markings, just pure, cold technological efficiency. In the colony's lower levels, emergency shelters housed thousands of children. These underground complexes were designed to withstand natural disasters, asteroid impacts, and potential conflicts. But nothing could have prepared them for this level of systematic destruction. Haywan watched as entire sections of the colony's defensive grid collapsed. Protective energy shields flickered and died, exposing vulnerable civilian zones. The attackers knew exactly where to strike, revealing a level of intelligence and pre-planning that suggested this wasn't a random assault. Estimated survival rate? She asked her AI system. The emotionless digital voice responded, 0.03%, approximately 240 potential survivors out of 800,000 colonists. The number hung in the air, a cold statistical representation of mass murder, explosion, after explosion consumed residential sectors. Entire family units disappeared in nanoseconds. Children's playgrounds became landscapes of molten metal and burning debris. The silence that followed each destruction was more terrifying than the explosions themselves. Some emergency shuttles managed to launch, tiny specks of hope escaping the massive destruction. But Haywan knew most would be tracked and eliminated. The attackers were thorough. They were leaving no witnesses. In the colony's central communication hub, emergency broadcasts played on loop. Desperate messages from parents, children crying for help, final moments of human existence captured in raw, unfiltered transmissions. These would become the only remaining evidence of what happened here today. The alien fleet moved with a rhythm that suggested something beyond simple military strategy. This felt like a message, a warning, a demonstration of absolute power. Haywan's tactical training kicked in. While others would break down, she remained focused. Every piece of data, every fragment of information could become a weapon of future resistance. She began recording everything: ship movements, weapon signatures, attack patterns. As the last sections of the colony transformed into burning wreckage, Commander Haywan Park made a silent promise. This would not be the end. Humanity would, remember, humanity would respond. The holographic displays showed the final moments of New Horizon, where thousands of lives once existed, only expanding debris and burning fragments remained. 800,000 souls erased in less than an hour. Silence descended. The unknown attackers had made their statement, and somewhere in the cold, vast darkness of space, a spark of human resistance was about to be ignited. The asteroid belt became humanity's hidden sanctuary. Survivors from New Horizons' destruction drifted between massive rock formations, their damaged shuttles barely holding together. Jin-Soo Kim, a young communication specialist, worked frantically to piece together fragmented signals from other potential survivor groups. His fingers moved across damaged communication panels, connecting broken transmission lines. Each successful connection felt like rescuing a tiny piece of hope from complete darkness. The alien attack had been so complete, so devastating, that finding other survivors seemed almost impossible. Small groups of refugees gathered in hidden caverns inside larger asteroids. They brought nothing except survival gear, personal memories, and an overwhelming desire for revenge. Children who had survived the initial attack sat quietly, their eyes holding memories no child should ever possess. Jin-Soo discovered something peculiar in the communication fragments. The attack wasn't random. Someone had provided detailed information about human colony locations. A traitor existed somewhere in human diplomatic circles. "We are not dead," he would tell the gathered survivors. "We are the beginning of something they never expected." Makeshift workshops emerged inside asteroid caves. Engineers began converting emergency medical equipment into potential weapons. Every piece of technology became a potential tool of survival and resistance. Yunji Choi, a brilliant quantum engineer, started developing communication encryption systems that could not be traced or decoded by their unknown attackers. Her hands moved swiftly, converting shuttle communication arrays into potential weapon targeting systems. The survivors quickly understood that traditional military structures would not work. They needed a new approach, decentralized, adaptive, something the enemy could not easily predict or destroy. Small groups began sharing survival information, how to hide communication signals, how to convert medical scanners into potential tracking devices, how to survive in the harshest conditions of deep space. Sung-Min Kwon, the medical specialist, worked on treating physical and psychological trauma. Many survivors, especially children, had witnessed total destruction. Their mental wounds would take years to heal if they ever could. Intelligence gathering became their primary mission. Every piece of data about the unknown attackers was precious. Ship designs, weapon signatures, communication patterns. Nothing was considered insignificant. Jin-Soo's communication network slowly expanded. Encrypted messages passed between hidden asteroid bases. Each transmission was a small act of defiance against those who thought humanity was finished. The survivors understood their situation clearly. They were not an army. They were not even a resistance yet. They were desperate survivors, preparing for a fight that might take generations. Makeshift schools emerged in dark asteroid corners. Children learned not just survival skills, but also the history of what happened. Every survivor became a teacher. Every story became a weapon of psychological resistance. Technology became their primary hope. If traditional military strength had failed, then innovation would become their new strategy. Shuttle communication arrays were modified. Medical scanners became potential weapon systems. Jin-Soo discovered something even more critical. The attack's precision suggested internal human betrayal. Someone with high-level security clearance had provided detailed colony information to the attackers. "We are not just surviving," he told the gathered survivors. "We are preparing to become something they never expected." Small groups began training. Not traditional military training, but adaptive survival techniques. How to hide, how to communicate, how to turn everyday technology into potential weapons. The asteroid belt became more than a hiding place. It became a forge, a place where broken technology, traumatized survivors, and pure human determination would reshape their future. Survival was no longer enough. Revenge had become their silent promise. As distant stars watched, humanity's smallest spark began to grow, not with traditional military might, but with something far more dangerous, a calculated technological resistance born from absolute loss. The unknown attackers had made a critical mistake. They had not killed humanity. They had awakened it. The asteroid workshop hummed with intense energy. Yonji Choi stood before a complex holographic display, her fingers tracing potential weapon designs that would make conventional military technology look like ancient tools. Quantum disruption technology was no longer a theoretical concept. It was their weapon of survival. Each circuit, each carefully designed algorithm represented a potential strike against the unknown attackers who had destroyed their colony. "We need something they cannot predict," Yonji muttered to herself, recalibrating a modified communication array. The device looked like a simple communication scanner, but in reality, it could potentially shut down entire enemy ship systems with a single pulse. Survivors worked in tight groups. Engineers transformed medical scanners into tracking devices. Communication specialists converted emergency shuttle systems into potential weapon platforms. Every piece of technology became a potential tool of resistance. Jin-Soo Kim's intelligence network provided critical information. Fragments of data about the enemy ship designs, weapon signatures, communication patterns. Each piece was carefully analyzed and integrated into their developing technological arsenal. The asteroid base had become more than a hiding place. It was a technological forge where broken technology and human determination were being reshaped into something entirely new. Young survivors, many who had lost everything, worked alongside experienced engineers. Children who once played in now destroyed colonies now learned how to modify quantum communication arrays. Trauma transformed into focused determination. Yonji discovered a critical breakthrough. By understanding the enemy's communication frequency, they could potentially create a weapon that would not just disable enemy ships but completely disrupt their technological infrastructure. "We are creating more than weapons," she explained to the gathered survivors. "We are developing a complete technological response to our destruction." Small teams worked on different technological approaches. One group developed advanced stealth technology that could make their ships virtually undetectable. Another team worked on communication encryption that would be impossible to crack. Sung-Min Kwan, the medical specialist, contributed unexpected insights. Medical scanning technology could be modified to create precise targeting systems. Healing technology could be transformed into potential weapon designs. The survivors understood their situation clearly. They were not preparing for a traditional war. They were developing a completely new approach to conflict, adaptive, unpredictable, driven by pure survival instinct. Hours turned into days, days into weeks. The asteroid workshop became a continuous pulse of technological innovation. Every survivor contributed. Every piece of broken technology became a potential weapon. Jin-Soo's intelligence network expanded. Hidden communication lines passed critical information between different asteroid bases. Each transmission was a small act of defiance against those who thought humanity was finished. Yonji's quantum disruption technology began to take shape. Initial tests showed promising results. A simple communication pulse could potentially disable entire enemy ship systems. Traditional weapon concepts were being completely reimagined. The young engineers worked with a focus that went beyond technical skill. This was personal. Every line of code, every modified circuit represented revenge for lost families, destroyed colonies, murdered children. "We are not rebuilding," Yonji would tell the gathered survivors. "We are creating something entirely new. A technological response that will make our attackers understand the true meaning of human resilience." Survival was no longer enough. Technological innovation had become their primary weapon, not through traditional military might, but through something far more dangerous: adaptive, unpredictable human creativity. As distant stars watched, humanity's smallest technological spark began to grow. Each modified device, each innovative design represented more than just a potential weapon. It represented hope. It represented survival. The unknown attackers had destroyed their colonies, but they had not understood the most critical human characteristic: the ability to adapt, to innovate, to survive against impossible odds. In the cold darkness of the asteroid belt, humanity was preparing its response, not with traditional weapons, but with something far more powerful: pure, focused technological determination. The communication array hummed with dangerous potential. Jin-Soo Kim's fingers moved across holographic interfaces, preparing the most significant broadcast in human history. Every star system would receive their message. Encrypted signals began spreading across multiple communication spectrums. The message was simple, direct and devastating. Complete documentation of the genocide. Strategic weaknesses of the attacking force. A warning to potential future threats. Initial transmission tests showed remarkable results. The signal could not be blocked or destroyed. It would penetrate every known communication network in the galaxy. No civilization would be able to ignore humanity's warning. Detailed visual record showed the complete destruction of New Horizon colony. Children's playgrounds reduced to burning craters. Entire residential zones transformed into expanding debris fields. Raw, unfiltered evidence of total genocide. "We are not asking for help," Jinsu recorded in the primary transmission. "We are warning you. This threat is real." The broadcast included precise technological data about the unknown attackers, ship designs, weapon signatures, communication, frequencies. Each piece of information became a potential weapon of diplomatic and technological warfare. Yonji Choi had designed the transmission system to be virtually unblockable. Multiple redundant communication channels ensured the message would spread even if some were destroyed. The signal was designed to be persistent, adaptive. Survivor testimonies formed critical parts of the transmission. Children who had witnessed the destruction spoke directly into communication arrays. Their words were more powerful than any formal diplomatic statement. "They killed everything," one young survivor said, her voice steady but filled with controlled rage. "We are the witnesses. We are the warning." The message was not just about their own destruction. It was a comprehensive warning about a potential galactic threat. Detailed analysis showed the attack was not random. It was a calculated attempt to eliminate a specific population. Intelligence gathered from multiple sources suggested internal human betrayal. Someone with high-level diplomatic clearance had provided colony location information to the attackers. The transmission included every discovered detail. Diplomatic communication networks began responding, some with shock, some with disbelief. But no one could ignore the raw, unfiltered evidence presented by the human survivors. Jinsu understood. The transmission was more than information. It was a declaration. Humanity was no longer just a victim. They had become a witness, a warning. The communication array continued broadcasting. Multiple language translations ensured the message could be understood by different galactic civilizations. No one would be able to claim they did not know. Detailed technological data accompanied the transmission. Precise information about the attackers' ship designs, weapon frequencies, communication patterns. Each piece of information became a potential defensive strategy for other civilizations. "We are not asking for rescue," the transmission repeated. "We are providing you with the tools to protect yourselves." Survivor groups in different asteroid bases contributed to the broadcast. Medical records, technological analysis, personal testimonies. Each piece of information added depth to their warning. The transmission became more than a simple communication. It was a comprehensive record of destruction, a warning, a promise of future resistance. As the signal spread across multiple star systems, something unexpected happened. Other civilizations began responding, not with pity, but with a growing understanding of the potential threat. Jinsu watched the communication arrays. Each successful transmission felt like a small victory. They were transforming from victims to witnesses, from survivors to a potential galactic warning system. The unknown attackers had destroyed their colonies, but they had not understood the most critical human characteristic, the ability to transform destruction into a powerful message of resistance. In the cold darkness of space, humanity's warning continued to spread. Persistent, unblockable, a signal of pure, focused determination. The first strike came without warning. Precision quantum disruption weapons targeted the enemy fleet's critical communication systems. Admiral Kang Ryal watched in disbelief as his most advanced ship suddenly went dark. Hae Won Park stood on the bridge of the rebuilt starship, her eyes cold and calculating. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Revenge was no longer and emotion. It was a precisely engineered instrument of destruction. Human technology had transformed completely. What was once considered impossible was now their primary weapon. Stealth ships moved like ghosts between enemy formations, each movement calculated, each strike surgical. The enemy fleet discovered something terrifying. Their advanced technology meant nothing against an enemy that had been forged in absolute loss. Every human ship carried the memories of 800,000 murdered children. Quantum communication arrays turned enemy weapon systems against themselves. Ships that once destroyed human colonies now became burning fragments of metal. The irony was not lost on the survivors. Yonji Choi's technological innovations worked perfectly. What began as desperate modifications in asteroid workshops had become the most advanced weapon system in the galaxy. Each circuit carried the pain of past destruction. Communication. Intercepts showed complete panic among the enemy ranks. They had expected a defeated, broken civilization. Instead, they found a technologically transformed human force driven by something beyond simple military strategy. "We are not an army," Heiwan told her crew. "We are a message." The first wave of attacks targeted communication infrastructure. Enemy diplomatic networks collapsed. Strategic command centers became burning ruins. Each strike was a precise response to the original genocide. Survivors from different asteroid bases coordinated their attacks. No central command structure, no predictable military hierarchy. Each group operated with complete technological synchronization, an organism of pure technological revenge. Jinsu Kim's intelligence network provided real-time tactical information. Enemy ship movements, potential weaknesses, communication frequencies. Nothing remained hidden from human technological capabilities. Medical technology transformed into advanced scanning systems. Tracking devices became weapon platforms. Every piece of technology carried the DNA of survival and resistance. The enemy fleet began to understand the true nature of their mistake. These were not traditional military opponents. These were survivors who had transformed their entire civilization into a weapon of pure technological determination. Admiral Kang Ryle's flagship became the primary target. As quantum disruption weapons systematically disabled his command systems, he realized the complete extent of their miscalculation. Heiwan watched the battle unfold. Each destroyed enemy ship represented more than a military victory. It was a statement, a warning, a promise fulfilled. Survivor groups broadcast their attacks across multiple communication channels. No hidden operations. They wanted the galaxy to witness their response. This was not just a battle. This was a message about human resilience. The attacks continued with mathematical precision. No emotion. No traditional military drama. Just pure, calculated technological destruction. Each strike represented years of preparation, years of survival, years of transformation. Enemy communication networks collapsed. Strategic command centers became burning ruins. The technological superiority that once seemed unbeatable now became their greatest weakness. "We are not seeking victory," Heiwan transmitted to remaining enemy forces. "We are delivering a message." As the battle reached its final stages, something became clear. This was more than military conflict. This was a complete technological revolution. Humanity had transformed from a victim civilization to something entirely new. The last enemy ships disappeared in massive explosions, precise, calculated, each destruction a testament to human innovation and survival. Silence descended across the battle zone. Where once a massive enemy fleet existed, only expanding debris remained. The message was complete. Humanity had not just survived. They had redefined the very concept of resistance. In the cold darkness of space, a new chapter had begun, insight at a time.